Hi folks, this is Todd from Snyder's Hives and Honey. Well, I wanted to cover something with you today, and that is drying honey. Sometimes we extract our honey and it's got moisture content that's above 18.5, which is the threshold of when you can bottle honey. If you bottle honey that's got moisture in it above 18.5% humidity or moisture content, you're taking a chance that the honey could ferment in the bottle. So traditionally 18.5 or less is the threshold number that we're looking for. So today I'm going to show you how I dry some honey. Here in Florida we have some pretty humid weather. A lot of times we pull our honey out and it's capped, but it's still running about 19, sometimes 19.5% humidity, even though, or moisture, even though it's capped. So we're going to do a little bit of drying process today. I'll show you how I dry 10 gallons of honey in 24 hours and drop it 3%. So I can take honey that's 20.5% moisture content and drop it down to 17.5% in 24 hours. So I'll show you how I do that, and then we'll take some video here, and you can make this at a smaller scale, but I can actually do 20 gallons at a time. I'm going to do 10 today just to show you how to do it. So it's not that expensive to set up something to do it. If you're doing it for yourself, you may want to try it in a smaller scale. But I've got maybe $200, $250 in supplies and equipment to dry my honey. So for me, it's worth it. But I'll show you what I do and how I do it here. We'll take some video as we go along. All right, so there's a couple of pieces of equipment you're going to need. One is a dehumidifier. This is a small dehumidifier I have. You can buy them at one of the large box stores or any stores that sell dehumidifiers, vacuum cleaners, things like that. I don't want to list the stores, but you know which ones to look at. But you need a small dehumidifier. And I also have one of these racks. You can buy these at a restaurant supply store. You can buy them on Amazon. And all it is a sheet pan rack. And it takes a full sheet pan. This one here, I don't know the size of the sheet pan, but it is what they call a full sheet pan. They make half sheet pans. This one holds 10 sheet pans. So if I put 10 sheet pans on there and fill each sheet pan about half full of honey, it holds 10 gallons. Now I can fit 2 of these racks inside of my dehumidifying box that I built, and I'm going to show you that as well. So you'll need a sheet pan, a dehumidifier, or some way to keep the dry dehumidified air in a confined space. Some people, you do a small bathroom. I do it in a box out in my honey house where I have all my frames, and you can see I got all my frames set up here. I've got boxes, and this is where I do some of my, there's one of my extractors. And then I've got more boxes back there, and this is the box I was talking about right here. And I'll show you, it's gonna lay down on the floor. It's 2 feet wide by 8 feet long by 4 feet high. And I'll show you how all this goes together. But I'm gonna show you how much honey to put on a rack. So we're gonna pour 10 gallons of honey on, and then we'll get this set up. And like I say, it usually takes 24 hours. I can drop it 3% in the humidity or in moisture content of the honey. So I did some yesterday, took it from 20.5, and today I pulled it out and dropped it down to 17.5. So I've got 10 more gallons of honey I need to get dried down to at least 18.5. So we're gonna put 10 more gallons of honey on here and get it started, and then tomorrow I can pull it out. So I'll videotape some more. And as always, be happy and continue to watch. All right, so I've got this half full now. I've got 5 trays on there. And you can see I've poured it out on there, and that's the honey that's on there. It'll seek a level. And I'm gonna test it right now and show you. And of course, I got some bees in here right now So they're landing on it. We'll have to filter that again, obviously afterwards, just to get the bees out. But so that's what you do. You can see the trays are about, oh, maybe third full, half full. This kind of gives you an idea, the one below it. Now, when you do this, start at the bottom, work your way to the top. This way here, it's easier to pour. You pour the bottom sheet pan, then put the next one on and pour onto that. And also, the drier air settles to the bottom. So I found that the honey sheets on the bottom actually dry faster and a little bit more than the sheets that are up on the top. So I'm going to take a quick moisture test on this just so I have a reading, and then we'll get this in the dehumidifying box so that these bees don't keep getting in the honey here. So we'll take a reading here and I'll show you what that is. Okay folks, I just tested the honey, came back at 19%. So this is really right on the borderline of being able to bottle. So we're going to put this in here today. I know by tomorrow I'm going to have this down quite a bit. If it drops it down 3% like it did on the batch I did yesterday, that's going to drop this down to 16. That's going to be some thick honey. So I'll show you how it works here. I'll get it set up and we'll proceed. Okay, so what I've done now is I've plugged in my dehumidifier. It's running. I've actually set it for continuous and fan on auto. 66%. And I'm going to drop that down. I want to get the humidity, the relative humidity inside my box down to about 30%. So what I'm going to do is this box that I built right here, it's actually made out of insulation board and 2x3s. Now when you use the insulation board, very, very important not to use the fiberglass. Use the foam insulation board. You do not want any fiberglass fibers anywhere. So this is foil coated styrofoam. And I just built a box and then put the insulation board on the outside of it. Once I lay it down, you'll be able to see. And I'll pause here and set this up and you can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the dehumidifying box. What it is, it's 8 feet long, 4 feet high, and 2 feet wide. So it's 2 feet this way, 4 feet from the floor up, and from this corner to that corner is 8 feet. So what it took was 3 sheets of 4x8 insulation material, and then I used 2x3s to just make a box. I put these strips on here afterwards because I tried to glue the insulation board to the 2x3s. And I said, you know what, I don't want the glue on there. So I decided not to use that. And the staples that I was using was going through the insulation. So ended up, I ripped down some lumber and then I used some long brad nails with my nail gun and just nailed it through the insulation board into the 2x4. And you can see I also used the foil tape on all the corners. So it is airtight other than a little bit of air seeping in on the bottom, but that's okay. Then what I did was I just cut a hole through the top here, ran my extension cord through it right here, and I put some foil tape around that as well. So this box is pretty much self-contained with the dehumidified air. Like I say, I took 10 gallons in here yesterday, dropped it 3% from 20.5 down to 17.5%. I thought that was fantastic. I pulled out over a gallon of water out of the dehumidifier in 24 hours. And I did put in 10 gallons of honey and I did get back about 9 1/3. So it did tell me that I took about 3/4 of a gallon of moisture out of that honey. So I didn't get out what I put in because it did dry it up. So obviously it is working. So if you want to do something like this, obviously you don't have to make it 4x8. You can make it smaller. You can use half sheet pans. You can make a little wooden rack, put them in there. You don't have to buy the sheet pan rack from a restaurant supply like I did, but I just like my stuff to be able to wheel it around, and I like to be able to wash it and hose it down. So that's why I went ahead and bought that. And if you like this video, like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow and like on Facebook. And this is what we do at Snyder's Hives and Honey, something different. So as always, be happy.